Hey everybody, welcome to Kennedy Hawk Plays. Today we're going to be talking about Marvel Champions, the card game. Leading up to the launch in October, we're going to be going over each aspect and hero in the core set and talking about what cool cards come as player options in this card game. So we're going to start with the aspects, and today we're going to talk about the cards in the leadership aspect. So in this game, you select one of 5 heroes from the core set and one aspect to create your deck. So the first aspect we're going to talk about is leadership. So the leadership aspect has less cards than all the other ones in the core set. Every other one has 17, and we've only got 16 here, but the cards still pack a pretty awesome punch. So we'll go through them. Each of the aspects has a power of card that counts as double resources when you're playing a card from that aspect. So it's a wild resource, it counts as 2 when playing for a leadership card. Pretty standard in the 4 aspects in the core set, and still a really powerful card, especially if you're including a lot of things from that aspect. That being said, the double resource only helps you on cards that cost 2 or more, so it's not going to help you on, these 9, 10 cards over here, so it really only going to help you on the remaining 6 cards. So not the best bang for your buck, but still getting any of these things out as a 2-for-1 is a really good deal. So the leadership aspect is all themed around heroes, or allies, sorry. So we'll look at the allies first. There are 3 allies, and each of them has their uses, their strengths, and their weaknesses. So we'll start with Maria Hill. Maria Hill has 2 thwart and 2 attack. She costs 2, and 2 thwart, 1 attack, costs 2, and has 2 health. And she has a response. After Maria enters play, each player draws a card. Mental resource, so not super combo-y for all those energy resource decks, but still really powerful. I used to not like this card in solo play, but it's grown on me. I mean, I'm spending 2, and then I get to draw the card that replaces Maria Hill, so that's pretty cool. Helps you cycle your deck really fast. It really shines in multiplayer when you make 4 people draw a card for the cost of 2. And just a pretty neat card. Having 2 thwart on an ally is actually really helpful too, so to be able to play her and then thwart for 2 is really good. I like to compare her to one of the cards in the Justice set. Where is it here? For Justice. So for Justice costs 2. You remove 3 threat from a scheme, or 4 if you pay with a mental resource. So pretty cool. You can remove 4 threat immediately. Maria Hill is pretty similar. I can pay 2, remove 2 threat twice, remove the 4th threat, or she's a little more versatile. If I need to ping an enemy, or if I need a chump blocker, she can do all that. And she draws me a card, so she's a ton of value for 2 costs. This removes threat really fast. Justice, not what we're talking about today, but Maria is kind of that card for leadership. So Maria Hill, really good card. We'll talk about some combos with her later. Next ally we'll talk about is Vision. He's 1 thwart, 2 attack, 4 cost, so not great stats for his cost, and only 3 health. What's great about him is that you can spend a Lightning Bolt resource to choose thwart or attack and give Vision +2 power for that stat for the rest of the phase, or round. So that's pretty cool. So you can get 3 thwart out of him or 4 attack, but you're spending extra resources to do that. It can still be pretty cool. We'll talk about combos with him as well. We've got our one not combo hero. That's our ally. That's Hawkeye. He has 1 thwart and 1 attack, so he's kind of a weenie with 3 health. But his main thing is his ability. So he puts 4 arrow counters onto him, and whenever a minion enters play, you can remove an arrow counter to deal 2 damage to that minion. So in Rhino's scheme, that's not a big deal. There's not a lot of minions. But when you get to Ultron's scheme and he's spitting out Ultron drones constantly, Hawkeye can just snipe them as they appear, which is really powerful in that setup. So conditional hero or conditional ally that you might not always want to include. Let's talk about combos next. So people always talk about allies. I think allies are great. That's what leadership's focused on. But I think what makes leadership really good is its events. So let's talk about the Vision and Maria Hill for a minute. If you can ready an ally and use it twice in a phase, that makes it really powerful. So you could play Maria Hill, draw a card, thwart for 4 in 1 turn by using Get Ready, and that's really, really strong. Another reason Get Ready is really strong, it costs 0. I love 0 cost events. They really cost 1 because you discard the card from your hand to play it. But if you pump Vision to 4 attack, he could attack twice in the same turn for 8 damage in 1 turn. That's a big swing that can really end a phase before it gets too dangerous. So One of the best events, you get 3 copies of it. Get Ready, physical resource, action, ready, and ally. One thing that's kind of cool, this doesn't have to be only your allies, so you could ready another player's ally if they've used an ally to defend, or if it got exhausted from some sort of villain card. You can ready anybody's allies, so that's pretty cool. Really combo-y with Maria Hill and Vision, because a lot of times with Maria Hill, you want to use her as many times as possible and get her into your discard pile. So let's talk about why you would want to do that next with another zero-cost event. This one's kind of a hidden trap. It's not really a zero-cost event. Zero printed cost, make the call. Action, pay the printed cost of an ally from any player's discard pile. Put that ally into play under your control. So you might play Maria Hill and say, man, Ultron's really scheming against me. I'm having trouble. I'm going to thwart. I'll get ready and thwart a second time, so I've removed 4 threat. Oh look, she only costs 2, and now she's in my discard pile. So if I had a Power of Leadership laying around, I can pull Maria back out. So now I've drawn 2 cards, probably thwarted for 6, all with just a combo of 4 cards or something like that in your hand. Really, really strong. So this card is amazingly versatile, even in solo play. It says any players, but you can target your own discard pile. And that's really, really strong. All the allies in the game are one of in your deck, so you can only have one Maria Hill in your 40 to 50 card deck, so she's not always going to show up right away, but if she shows up early on, you can bring her out multiple times. Same thing with Hawkeye. Once his arrows are gone, you may as well chump block him, bring him back out with Make the Call. Really, really strong event. The last event is Lead from the Front. It's a hero action, so you have to be in hero form. Choose a player. Each character that player controls gets +1/+1 on their stats until the end of the phase. So this is really strong because you can play it on yourself, because you'll probably have lots of allies. You can play it on another player if that player has a bunch of allies in play or is going to play a bunch. It does cost 2, so I feel like it's a really strong card. But I mean, if you only have yourself and 1 ally and no way to ready yourselves, you pay 2 for basically 2 thwart or 2 attack. That's not that good of a cost ratio. Luckily, it has the lightning bolt resource, so it combos with a lot of things. 2 more cards in the leadership kit to talk about. 3 copies of Inspired. Each of the aspects has an upgrade card that you play on other heroes or your own hero. This one plays on an ally. You can only attach 1 per ally, but it gives the ally +1/+1. So this can be really strong with the Vision. If you get him out there, play Inspired on him, the next turn you spend a lightning bolt to get him to 5 attack, and maybe you get ready twice that turn so you can swing for 15 with him. Really, really good combos. Again, you can play this on any player's ally, so if somebody else has like a really strong ally that you want to keep out for a long time, feel free to throw Inspired on them. The best news about leadership is you have 3 allies in your deck, and you have a unique location. So this location increases your ally limit by 1. So this allows you to control more than 3 allies at a time, so you could have 4 allies in play. What I found with leadership decks, one of the things that makes them really strong is they have lots of upgrades and lots of allies, so you can get lots of things in play. So you can imagine if you've gone through your deck and you have these 7 cards in play, the second time through your deck, you're like super thinned down to just the cards that are going to impact battle, because everything else was already on the field. And that's really cool. One of the reasons I wanted to start with leadership, other than it being my favorite aspect, is that leadership really benefits from all the other aspects as well. So let's talk about that for a minute. So the cool thing with Make the Call is you can target another player's discard pile and bring things into play. So in single player, since you only have a single aspect, that's just other leadership cards and basic cards and cards from your hero deck. But in multiplayer, you might have an ally that's playing aggression. So after their Tigra has died or taken a chump block attack, you can bring her back, and you can start using her, which just makes her more and more powerful. Same thing with the Hulk. Let's say the Hulk discards himself. Well, your friend didn't waste all of their resources, because you can bring him back for just the cost of 2, which is a steal for that ally cost. So really, when evaluating leadership cards, you kind of have to evaluate like all the allies that could come into play in your team's team build. So I think the really strong ones that I've stolen from people's discard piles is Black Widow. A lot of people never want to use her for thwarting or attacking because her interrupt is so powerful. your friends, knowing that Make the Call is in your deck, are able to use Black Widow in critical moments to thwart or attack or chump block when they couldn't otherwise. So that's really, really strong. Same thing with Luke Cage. Luke Cage usually takes a chump block and then he attacks forever. He's got a lot of health. Bringing that back can be really powerful, especially if he comes back and then you play an Inspired on him or something else to make him a 2/3. Those are hero-like stats on an ally. Jessica Jones and Daredevil, same sorts of things. They have a lot of utility and their stats can get pumped, and they can get pumped even more when you bring them into play and then play Inspired on them, or play Inspired on your friend's ally to begin with. So the other aspects can affect you. One thing I forgot to grab here, there are 2 neutral allies that also really affect how leadership plays. So one of my favorite things to do with leadership is play Nick Fury. Nick Fury should probably be in every deck that exists right now because he's that good. Comes into play, you get to remove threat from the scheme, draw cards, or deal damage. He's really powerful in leadership if you play him and then draw 3 cards. And the next turn he goes to your discard pile and you use Make the Call to play him again, so you can just cycle your deck really, really fast. There's no point in playing Inspired on him because he's going to go away, but you can play him and get full use out of his 3 health because you can get ready on him. So you can play him, get ready twice, get 6 damage out of him plus the 4 from his Enter Play ability, and that's a really strong move for 4 resources. Mockingbird, always great. You can just pull her out of the discard pile after she's chump blocked to keep stunning the enemy using Make the Call, and that's, again, really, really, really strong. So, all these cards, this big pile of clustered cards here, they all help leadership. In multiplayer games, basics can even be in your single-player games. There's one other thing that you should think about when deciding how leadership works with your hero, and that is your allies. So each hero in the core set has a unique ally. Spider-Woman goes with Captain Marvel, Black Cat goes with Spider-Man, Hellcat goes with She-Hulk, Shuri for Black Panther, and War Machine for Iron Man. All 4 of these heroes are pretty amazing. All 5 of these heroes are pretty amazing in leadership. Some are better than others, so we'll go through the ones that are really good. I think Spider-Woman is great. She's basically like Mockingbird, but with better stats and for thwarting, so she'll confuse the villain. So you can confuse the villain, use her twice to remove 4 threat from the scheme, or hit the villain for 4 damage, and then play her again and again and again with Make the Call. And again, I can't say this enough. I've seen a lot of people not bring Inspired in their deck, but when you can make an ally a 3/3 for a turn, like, those are really good stats for an ally and really good efficiency for a 1-cost card. Especially guys that have a lot of health, like War Machine or Luke Cage. So Spider-Woman, probably one of the better ones. I think the best one is probably Black Cat. Black Cat should be your primary target for Inspired. So she's got some Enters Play ability, not that big of a deal. Even if your ally is playing Spider-Man, throw an Inspired on their Black Cat and they're going to love you forever. So when she attacks, she takes no consequential damage, so she doesn't go away after a couple turns. So you can get her to 2 attacks, so Spider-Man can just ping for 2 every turn for free, which is amazing. Kind of putting these in the order that I think they are good with leadership. So Shuri, I think, is one of the top 2. Shuri has an Enter Play ability. You can search your deck for an upgrade and add it to your hand. Black Panther's all about getting specific upgrades in play. So what's cool is you can play her turn 1, chump block, Make the Call, play her again, so you're fishing out multiple upgrades in one pass through your deck, really thinning your deck and getting things into play. So that helps Black Panther. If your friend is playing Black Panther, you can still steal Shuri and either grab hero upgrades or just grab an Inspired. I mean, she's basically like a Maria Hill, draw a card, but it's a specific card of a specific type that you pick. So just a really powerful move with Make the Call to be able to get that card back. And to fish out Inspired and throw it on her or somebody else is just really strong. War Machine's great just because he has a lot of health. 1 thwart, 2 attack, really, really good. If you can make him a 2/3, even better. His ability's okay if you get overwhelmed, but it's not that great. The only hero ally that isn't great with leadership is Hellcat. So Hellcat basically has a built-in make the call. She can return to your hand at any time that she's alive. So after you've used her twice, you can return her to your hand and just play her from there instead of using make the call to play her from your discard. So she can still be strong. You can still make her a 3/2 in a She-Hulk leadership deck, but probably not your best use of your leadership cards. A couple more things we should point out with leadership. There's some other really good basic cards that I think people should always include when they're playing leadership. So the first one being First Aid. First Aid, a lot of people play it and heal their hero for 2. It's a pretty good move, pretty neutral in cost efficiency. You know what's really good with this is, let's say you do pump this War Machine up. This War Machine's inspired. He's a 2/3. He's swinging for 3 damage every turn, and guess what? Paying 1 to heal him 2 health is basically paying 1 for 6 future damage, or 4 future threat removal. That's way cheaper than 4 Justice and Maria Hill, so that's like super good efficiency. Playing First Aid to heal an ally is almost always the best move you could do. Not great, because Maria Hill only has 2 health. Black Cat, people like that only have 2 health, but if you have a 3 health ally, looking at Daredevil, I'm looking at Luke Cage, Black Widow, healing them with First Aid is always going to be a huge benefit to your team. So that's another card that it's not really a leadership card, but if you're running a leadership deck, you should probably be running 3 copies of First Aid because it's that good. So that's the overview of the leadership aspect. Like I said, real great allies. We'll get rid of the non-leadership cards here since leadership was our focus today. I'd say the best ally of the set is Maria Hill. She's probably usable in every leadership deck. The other 2 are more situational if you need big swings from Vision or if you need those arrows from Hawkeye. For the events, there's lots of really good events. I'd say definitely the worst event is Lead from the Front. It's really great endgame, but it's kind of a win more thing. Like, if you're the only dude out there, or it's just you and 1 ally, not going to be a lot of benefit. But if you get a bunch of allies out there, you're probably already winning the game, so it doesn't seem to benefit you a ton. Get Ready, really good card. Anytime you can use an ally twice just to get their effectiveness out before something bad could happen to them, or to get them in your discard pile and set up combos with Make the Call, definitely the better 2 of the 3 events in the leadership kit. Make the Call is probably my favorite because it's just the most versatile depending on what you get. And this card and all the cards that affect allies are going to evolve over time as we get more and more allies into the game, which is really cool to see. Don't sleep on the upgrade. Upgrade's really good. Like I said, you know, you pay 2 to get +1 attack on your hero with the aggression upgrade. Well, here you can pay 1 to give an ally +1 attack and +1 thwart, so it's just really versatile. Location is okay. Honestly, the best use I've had for the location is there's that nasty villain card that makes you discard an upgrade or support, and I never want to, but I never feel bad discarding this. So, not an auto-include, but if you ever think you really are going to have a deck that pumps out allies constantly, Triskelion probably the card you could include. But overall, if you're making cuts, these are my 4 recommendations. I would keep most of the rest of it. Think about which allies you want to include, especially once we get more allies to choose from, but pretty cool aspect. So tune in tomorrow. We'll go through one of the other 3 aspects, and hopefully by the end of the week we'll have gone through all 4 aspects and the basic cards, and then we can move on to talk about heroes.